Nick Ashew here with the DMV.
Has concluded.
The DMVSTREAM.COM player.
Sean Parker along with Nick Iverson.
I always wanted to play volleyball in college.
Cordova trying to pick it out of the board. And they score!
And welcome to the Prep Zone, everybody, on DMVSTREAM.com. I'm Dave Owens. This is the place where we come to talk prep sports all day, all the time. And I brought out the big guns today. From the Washington Post, Brandon Parker. Always a pleasure to catch up with you, man.
You too, my man. How you doing?
Always a pleasure, man. It is that time of year. And, of course, from DMVElite.com, Mr. Marcus Helton. Marky Mark, man, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you as well.
Yeah, you too, man. You too. Good to be back.
We're going to have fun on this show today because it's an interesting time of year. I think a lot of the sports season sort of coming together and converging. So let's tell you what's coming up on this show. We got a lot to get to. Of course, there's going to be some basketball. There's going to be some lacrosse. We got the Virginia 6A Boys State Championship, Maryland 4A Boys State Championship. Eleanor Roosevelt does it again. And, of course, baseball, that's coming around the corner. Madison baseball heading down to one of the great baseball spotlight tournaments down south. We'll talk about that. And Jackie Sager catching up with one of our local football players as well. Where can you watch us? Take a look at all the different platforms, the different days, the different times. DMVStream.com, always on demand. Channel 10 as well. And you can also see us on Red Apple 21 here in Fairfax, Monday through Sunday at those different times right there. All right, we're going to get to that just coming up in just a moment. But first, we're going to take a look at one of the upcoming tournaments in our local area over at Marshall High School. It's the Nova Challenge Basketball Tournament, and you'll see that right here on DMVStream.com. Take a look.
It's the DMVStream.com Nova Challenge. The third annual installment of Northern Virginia's premier All-Star Basketball Showcase event is expanding. This year's April 10th event will welcome the top seniors from Fairfax, Loudoun, Arlington, Prince William, and the city of Alexandria for an action-packed day. In addition to the two All-Star games, the area's best public school basketball players will compete in a dunk contest and a three-point contest. Underclassmen will also have access to a developmental clinic hosted by our friends at Evolution Basketball. Now, not only has this year's event grown from one game to two, but by becoming the title sponsor of this event, DMVStream.com will be providing you, the viewers and fans, the exceptional, state-of-the-art coverage you've come to expect from us. As the Mid-Atlantic's #1 source for live sports broadcasting, well, DMVStream.com, we're going to broadcast this year's event live to computers, tablets, mobile devices, and we'll also make the replays available on demand on the internet, as well as our relationships with local cable television access channels. DMVStream.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournament organizations throughout the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, the Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBSSports.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia Productions and DMVStream.com has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of multimedia. Now, the DMVStream.com Nova Challenge, featuring Nova's premier basketball players on April 10th. You can find out more about that at DMVStream.com and NovaChallenge.com. We'll see you there.
All right, welcome back to the Prep Zone, everybody, on DMVStream.com. Dave Owens, Brandon Parker, Marcus Helton. Guys, again, always a pleasure to catch up with you. Of course, this segment now is, we're calling it our Weekend Rewind, where we go back and we take a look at all the sights and sounds from some of the best games. So, guys, I'm going to tee you up here in just a second. And Brandon, why don't we go ahead and start with you, and let's talk about some Virginia 6A basketball hoops. One of the better games that we've seen around here, of course, the Virginia 6A finals. We're talking about Oscar Smith taking on Westfield.
Yeah, Westfield, they came in on a mission in this game. You know, having fallen short in last year's 6A final, they kind of shot themselves in the foot with free throw shooting. But that night, you know, they were poised from the start. Hank Johnson had 4 3-pointers in like the first 10 minutes, and Oscar Smith couldn't hit the broadside of the barn with their shooting. So it was 14-4 after the first quarter, and it just kind of went that way the rest of the game. And you know, testament to this Westfield team, just the run they've had over the last 2 years with, you know, the football team won the championship, and then a few months later they beat Oscar Smith in the basketball championship, which the same two teams haven't met, you know, in the football and basketball final since 1921.
It's been a while, right?
And they're the first to, I believe, have won both in this. Well, excuse me, they aren't the first to win both. They're the first since Hampton did it in 1988-89 in the highest classification. But right there, Tyler Scanlon had quite the dunk to kind of put the punctuation mark on their win. And some other key points, Blake Francis, who missed some critical free throws in last year's game. He went 14 for 14 from the line. So it shows that they learned from their mistakes the last time around, and they're really, you know, determined to bring it home. And, you know, much respect to Tyler Scanlon, because just that kid just wins all the time, man. Like, as a sophomore, he won that PVI, the WCAC championship, transferred to Westfield, took them to the 6A final in basketball. Then the next year, he wins it in football, wins it in basketball. I think he only lost 3 games his whole, the last 2 years, his whole high school career. So he's going to Boston, and I think they got a good one in Tyler Scanlon.
Yeah, you see those numbers there, 22, 11, and 8, and you can see why Boston University and the coaches there salivating over that kid. Obviously, he's your top performer. All right, let's move on to one of our second games, Maryland 4A. Marcus, I'm going to tee you up here on this one. Boy, the Raiders have done it again. Yeah. That's all you have to say, right?
Right. Well, piggybacking on what Brandon was saying, another pretty dominant performance in the championship game.
Right.
And pretty anticlimactic way to end the day.
Right.
The first 3 games over at Xfinity Center were really close. We had 3 of them come down to the final minute. One of them went to overtime. But the last one was just pure domination. As you can see by the score right there.
Beat down.
Yeah, they came in on a mission, similar to Westfield. They came in thinking, you know, they deserved to be in this spot last year when Meade won it. So they kind of took that out on the defending champs.
They did.
72-39, and it was really never close. I think it was 19-4 at one point, and they straight out the gate and just kind of
24-6 after the first quarter. I think it was 38-13 at the half.
Yeah.
You're right. It was over before it started.
Right. They kind of just caught Meade on their heels early, and Meade never had a chance to recover. Meade's a really talented team, so that just speaks to what Eleanor Roosevelt did and the depth that they had. And they came in really not even the favorite in the 4. I mean, a lot of people had looked at Wise, PG County as a team to beat. They ended up losing a game at the end of the last regular season game in the Bowie, and everyone was like, "Whoa, you know what's going on with them going into the playoffs?" But they really rebounded from that, led by Najee Marshall. Ended up having a breakout season for him.
Sure.
He's going to prep school next year. He won't be back, but you know there's plenty of talent. Roosevelt is always stocked.
Oh. Well, this is the second year, I think, out of 4 that they've won a championship. Obviously, they're doing it over there. A lot of guys, giving them benefits of this game. Jaden Faulkner had 16. Trent Bishop had 13 in that game. And as we said, that game was never close. 24-6 at halftime. And Najee Marshall, very deserving, is your top performer right there. All right, guys, way to get things started. We're going to talk a little basketball in just a second, but as we say, this is an interesting time of year because different sports seasons are converging. One of those sports seasons, lacrosse, and we're excited here because we're a part of a newly formed lacrosse sports network. Let's see what that's all about. Take a look.
What's up, lacrosse fans? I'm excited to announce our new partnership with LACSportsNetwork.com, a 24-hour digital media network dedicated to covering the game of lacrosse, delivering thousands of hours of original programming, including live professional, collegiate, and amateur games. Now, those of you that already know about Synthesis Multimedia Productions and our platform at DMVSTREAM.COM, you know that our group has become the Mid-Atlantic's dominant force in providing live streaming of pro, college, and local high school sports. Now, in this new partnership with LACSportsNetwork.com, we'll be bringing you, the viewers, unprecedented live coverage of the Mid-Atlantic's most notable high school lacrosse programs, with matchups that include teams like Gonzaga, Georgetown Prep, Landon, Loyola Blakefield, McDonough, Boys Latin, Hill Academy, St. Paul's School, Culver, New Canaan, St. Stephen's St. Agnes, Collegiate School, and the Washington Catholic Athletic Conference Championship live from the University of Maryland. Now, in this series of 10 games, starting in early March, you can watch the best matchups live in HD with the state-of-the-art broadcast technology you've come to expect from us at Synthesis Multimedia Productions and DMVSTREAM.com. Broadcasts will include a minimum of 5 HD camera angles, graphics, instant replay, live clock, live scoring, up-to-the-minute stats, and a 15-person crew, including directors, producers, camera operators, play-by-play color, and sideline reporters, all dedicated to creating a television-style broadcast experience that you can watch live right in the palm of your hand. To find out more about this project, go to laxsportsnetwork.com and start watching lacrosse right now.
All right, certainly excited about the Lacrosse Sports Network. Welcome back here to the Prep Zone. Dave Owens, Brandon Parker, Marcus Helton. Guys, we continue to break this thing down. Let's get back to some of our hoops as we continue to go through our weekend rewind. Brandon, let's go to Virginia 5A, Potomac and LC Bird. Potomac from Dumfries, boy, just doing it again.
Yeah, with a whole new team. They came in favored to get their second title in 3 seasons, and you know they had a knack of kind of jumping out on teams from the start. Yeah. So they did that again against LC Bird, and you know it's in any game a team's going to make a run in the end, and LC Bird did that. But that's when their free throw shooting really came in handy. Elijah Camp, who actually had sprained his ankle the last 2 games and almost didn't play in that championship game, but he's a senior. He said, "I'm going to be out there." He was really clutch with his free throw shooting. Hit most of his 11 free throws in those final that final
8
minute.
of 10 down the stretch.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So that was really big, and you know that a testament to that team and the coaching staff just to be able to bring a bunch of new players together and so balanced. Like some games they often have 5 guys in double figures, and LC Bird is no slouch. You know they can play strong defense, they can explode, you know, offensively, but as you're seeing in the highlights, they just really didn't have any answers for Potomac's offense and just moving the ball. That's pretty ball moving right there too. Ooh. So yeah, they're the 5A champs again, and looking at what they did just the last 3 years, and who knows who they might bring back, you know, the next year as well. So really a strong testament to the Panthers and what they're able to do in the Virginia scene.
Yeah, this guy, one of the strongest right here, your top performer, Elijah Camp.
Yeah, he's only a junior too, so that's one of the guys you expect to be coming back for them. They also had Jeffrey Gordon, had 16 points, and again, I could go on and on because there's just so many guys that can really step up for them. But
yeah, give it up to LC's Charles Falden. He had 35 in that game, right? I mean,
he couldn't do it by himself, though. Yeah,
he needed a little help.
Yeah, but that's a good thing to note that because he definitely gave his all in that effort for sure.
Potomac coming through, and they finish up 27-2 on the campaign. All right, our final basketball stop, Marcus. National Christian taking on Middleburg. What'd you think about that one?
This was a great game. I had seen this matchup once earlier in the season, during the regular season, and it ended up being a pretty close game until National Christian pulled away. And they came into this one kind of wanting to, you know, avenge what happened last year. Last year they ran through the league and ended up losing in the championship game to Clinton Christian. So this year they again ran through the league and got to the championship game, and you know, talking to all the seniors on that team, that's what motivated them. They were in the gym the next day, they said, after that Clinton Christian loss. And this one wasn't really that close either. They came out the gate, jumped up on Middleburg. It was close there in the first quarter, and then they just started pulling away behind Christian Matthews, going to Georgia Tech, and Muhammad Kabir.
Okay.
Picked up their first Capital Beltway championship. There wasn't a huge crowd that day, but
yeah, plenty of good seats available.
Right, but the energy in the place, you can feel it. The National Christian fans wanted to send the seniors out on a high note, and they definitely did that.
And they finished with 30 wins, right?
Yeah.
I know that was the goal of theirs to get to 30 wins.
They only lost 2 games the entire year. It was a great season overall.
Yeah, oh, man.
Wow. They were doing a good job out there, no doubt about that. So National Christian gets that victory. All right, guys, great job. Great performances out there by a lot of those great teams. Let's take a look at some of the best, though. Our Tyler Byram checks in now with our Athlete of the Week.
Hello, everybody. Tyler Byram here to unveil the DMVSTREAM.COM Athlete of the Week.
which comes to us from the hardwood, as Largo's Chance Graham secured a double-double with 20 points and 17 rebounds to lead his team to the Maryland 2A state championship. If you want to be the DMVSTREAM.COM Athlete of the Week, be sure to tweet us your nomination at DMVSTREAM.COM.
All right, Ty, thanks for that. All right, guys, time to switch gears a little bit. We talked about lacrosse. We've talked about basketball. Let's talk a little baseball now. And one of the great tournaments that they have year in and year out, the National Spotlight Tournament, happens down in Sarasota. But one of the local teams that we're going to see down there, James Madison High School from Vienna, always a good baseball team. And so let's talk a little bit about them.
Yeah, they're going to be strong again. They won the state title in 6A last year, and they bring back 5 guys that are supposed to play at the collegiate level, led by 2 BYU commits in Pete Nielsen and Matt Favero, who actually are both cousins. And you know, just a well-coached team with Pudge Jorman, and you see the 2 commits there. And them going into the season, they're ranked number 11 overall in max preps nationally and number 17 overall by Baseball America. So no surprise they're going to be taking on some of the big boys at that Florida tournament. They've got Westminster Christian from Miami is always a strong program. Manatee in Florida is going to be down there, a bunch of other Florida schools. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, how they come out of that test, and next week's a spring break for most of the Fairfax schools, so they're going to be heading down there. But, you know, all signs point to them probably repeating again in the Virginia area, so we'll see. Yeah,
you would have to think so, too. I mean, and I'm a big, I always like to look at consistency, and you look at that baseball program, 23 wins a year since 2012. So they're doing something right over there.
Right, for sure. Yeah, and getting the right players, too, to bring them through their program.
All right, so we've talked about a lot here on this show. Of course, again, we talked about some baseball, we talked about some lacrosse, we talked about some football. We talked about Westfield basketball winning the 6A championship a little bit earlier. Well, Westfield football doing some big things as well. Our Jackie Sagar sitting down with Navy commit Jack Clancy of the Westfield football team to talk about why the Bulldog football team has been so successful.
Hello everyone, I'm Jackie Sagar and I am here with Westfield football star Jack Clancy. Jack, I know you are a 3-year starter on varsity for this football team. You are also the defensive captain for the past 2 seasons. Tell me how this team has progressed in the time that you've been on it, all the way till now after you guys just won the state championships.
I definitely think that it's more than a football standpoint, how we've grown. It's more so that how close everybody's gotten to one another. I mean, it's not just a thing where we spend time together on the football field. It's time off the field together that really makes a huge difference, like with this team. And I mean, I'm not the only 3rd-year starter. There's been a lot of people who played a lot of games, and I guess that also experience really helps.
I know your team faced a lot of adversity this year, from one of your ex-teammates suddenly passing away to the beginning of your season. 5 offensive starters on your team got suspended and you guys didn't have them for the first 4 weeks of the season. I know your team really looked to you to help out and fill those positions. You were playing positions you had never played before and you really excelled in them. I mean, I heard that you were actually the only player in program history to play in every play on both sides of the snap for an entire game. I mean, that's not something you see every day. Tell me about that experience for you.
I mean, it was just something that I played defense my whole entire life. I've always played like defensive tackle, linebacker, even in the youth leagues. But it's kind of a thing. I loved playing offense where every day I would learn something like new I could do. Like I would do a spin move. I've never done that before. Catch a pass. I've never done that before. Run the football. I've never done that before. I even scored a touchdown. I think this year is my first time I ever scored like a real offensive touchdown and not just a little dinky 1-yard interception for a touchdown. I mean, it's just something that every single day I got to gain experience in what I was doing and grow in my positions. And I just thought that like I was like given a great opportunity this year to try out new things and find out everything I can do.
I know at the end of your junior season, you were first team all-conference, first team all-region, pretty much considered the best linebacker in the area. And then 5 games into the season, you had a very devastating injury and tore your ACL. Tell me what was going through your head when you found out that your high school football career was over?
Well, I'll go back to the game when I tore my ACL. It just was like a simple play. I was just running the ball, and I heard like a loud snap. And I got up and I ran off the field, and I was just in my head, I was thinking, all right, I think I'll be fine. I think I'll be fine. And then as the game went on, I just could tell that something was not right, and I was getting more nervous and nervous. And it's just the fact that when they did all the X-rays, did all the MRIs, and finally when the doctor sat me down and told me, like, you tore your ACL, it kind of like it wasn't too surprising, but just to hear him say that, I started breaking out in tears. Like, I couldn't like hold it back. Because I not just thought that my high school career was over, I thought that maybe my college career was over. Like, college not wanting me because I was out for the whole rest of the season. They couldn't like see like how I'm excelling as the games go on. It was just a heartbreaking experience.
I heard that you actually, after the initial shock, remained really positive about it, and that when you told your teammates and coaches that there were very few dry eyes in the room, but you were actually the one telling everyone that it was going to be okay, and you still went to every practice after that. You encouraged your team, pregame and halftime speeches, everything like that. How did you remain so positive through that whole experience?
I think that, I think it was like the first 3 hours, I was like emotionally wrecked, but as everybody was telling me, like, everything's gonna get better, everything's gonna be okay, like, in my head I started playing out everything, every scenario, and I was like, you know what, this is happening for a reason, so obviously something good's gonna come out of it, and I just wanted to be there for my team, and let my teammates know that no matter what happened this season, I was gonna be there to support them. Like, if they had a bad game or something happened in their family, I was always gonna be there, always be a part of the team for them, like, have a shoulder for them to lean on, or I was gonna be the encouragement that they needed to get through a game or a tough situation. Which I just really was here for like moral support for the team.
So I know that you got a lot of D1 scholarship offers from schools, but you already knew where you wanted to go. You wanted to go to your dream school. It's the Naval Academy, and you're set to go there in the fall. Tell me why you chose their program over others.
Well, football, I love to play football. I love the blood, sweat, tears with the teammates, but what I'm really thinking about in my life is what I'm going to be doing when I'm 40, 50, 60, and I think this is more of like a school, it's more of a school type thing for me. Like, if I ever got the chance to play in the NFL, obviously I'm going to take it, but I wanted to go to a school where when I got out of it, I would be able to get a good job, have a career, like provide for myself, provide for a family if I have one.
Tell me how it felt, even though you were injured and not playing, how did it feel to see your team, that you had been on 4 years, your senior year, see Westfield win the state championship?
It was, even though I wasn't playing, it was like a huge relief, because ever since freshman year, like, that's all like every football player ever talks about is like, we're gonna win states by the time we come out of here. And it was special for my class to achieve that and get that done. And I was like happy because my friends were all there with me, like, and they all accomplished it. And at first I kept it cool. I was congratulating everybody. And then when I looked at some of my friends, my friend Terrell Montague was a linebacker, and I saw him crying, and he said, we finally did it. I couldn't just help but I was like cry for the happiness for my teammates. And I was just extremely excited. My little brother was on the team, so he got the experience as a freshman. I mean, even people that didn't play, they had to actually have that experience in their life. And they're gonna have a great football team in the past years. Don't get me wrong, like, this is not gonna happen again, but like, this is something they can say, I did this when I was in high school. And that's something anybody can be proud of.
Well, Jack, you are an amazing athlete and a real team player. We wish you the best of luck at the Naval Academy in the fall. Jack, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, Jackie and Jack, great job out there at Westfield. Guys, let's wrap this thing up. Of course, we're running into the AAU circuit, and Marcus, I know you've got a great event coming up, the DMV Elite Buffalo Wild Wings Extravaganza. Tell us a little bit about that as we take it on home today.
Sure, yeah. Coming up March 26th in Bowie, Maryland. This will be our 3rd annual extravaganza. In the past, it's been a 2-day event. This year, it's going to be 1 day. So in the morning, we have an unsigned senior showcase where we invite some college coaches in. They get to see the guys work out, split them up into teams, get to see them run. In the past 2 years, we've had a good number of guys get scholarship offers out of it. So that's always fun to see. It's always great to let those guys get one last chance. And then in the afternoon, we have our underclassmen premier run, and that's just a chance for some of the younger guys in the area, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, to come out, get seen by, college coaches will be there, media on hand. So it's just another great day of basketball. It's kind of the official tip-off to our off-season heading into the AAU season.
Off-season? There's never an off-season. Come on.
Yeah, I said off-season. Off-season's in quotation marks for basketball.
You see the information there. Brendan, I know you cover a lot of different sports. This is an interesting time because this is one of those opportunities where we see a lot of these young men throughout the year, but then we see them kind of go up against others that they may not see throughout the area, throughout the region. I think it gives them a little different feel a little bit when they go into that AAU circuit. We can kind of find out a little bit about them, can't we?
Yeah, you can really gauge because they're going up against a lot of the top talent. And then when they spread out and go across the country, then it's really, good to see how these guys stand up against the best competition. And this area's got a lot of great AAU teams, Team Takeover, DC Premiers coming up, and I was going to say DC Thunder. I heard that they might not be around much longer, but
they'll have younger age groups.
Yeah. So see, my man backing me up. So, but I do respect what y'all do because I know, like you said, a lot of guys have come through your showcases and picked up offers or gotten noticed. Like I know Markel Fultz, when nobody knew about him, he was at one of your events.
Our Elite 80.
Look at him now. So yeah, it's nice to give these guys a platform. Everybody wants to play in college, wants to get the opportunity, and not everybody will, but at least they have the opportunity to at least say, I tried, here's what I can do, and hopefully it does work out for them.
Well, it's a great place, too, because the coaches are there. They can kind of one-stop shop, and they can kind of go in there. And I know also, too, as part of this whole thing, academic is always a part of the conversation as well.
Right, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have guest speakers who will come out and speak to the kids about just the importance of that. Some of them get it. Unfortunately, all of them don't. We were all kids once. We were all kids once. You know how it is.
But it's got to be social media too. Hopefully.
But it's got to be part of the conversation. Marcus, Brandon, appreciate your time today. Appreciate hanging out with you, and appreciate you guys watching us here too. That's going to do it for the Prep Zone on DMVSTREAM.com. We will catch you next time. So long, everybody.